initially we didn't see any tutoring. But the first 8 days, he was with her when we went back and looked at the analysis of the behavior. She would do things such as this. She would look at him, sign come, and then approach him and retrieve him. And that went on for 5 days. Then what she would do for starting on day 6 is she'd look at him, orient toward him, and sign come, but she would no longer approach. So what we think is that the vast majority of the signs he acquired, he picked them up. And we have evidence also for that by the way signs came in. For example, we first observed the tickle sign. Washoe liked to be tickled. And Loulis would sign tickle, 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 but he would use it not in the correct context. So it would be comparable to a child playing with a word that they've just acquired, but they don't know the meaning, or they don't use it. He would just sign to himself. Also, he liked to be tickled, in that he would go up to the enclosure and press himself against the bars, and you could reach through and tickle him. And it was only after several observations of him playing with the sign tickle did he begin to get the point of signing tickle and then pressing himself against the bar. Here, Allie's signs look like he signed hug. He signs hug again to Loulis. Hug. Loulis approaches. And this was nice for Loulis because Loulis had not only Washoe that used signs around him, but Allie used signs, and they would sign to him. So it was a very meaningful. The signs were very meaningful in his environment as far as the chimps were concerned, who he lived with, Washoe and Allie here.
Washoe therefore taught her language to her adoptive son Loulis. At 3, Loulis had learnt 60 signs this way. At Central Washington University, Washoe and Loulis were joined by 3 other chimpanzees, Dar, Moja, and Tatu, who had also been raised by the gardeners according to the same principles they had used with Washoe. With these 3 chimpanzees and a 4th one, Billy, the gardeners pursued the Washoe experiment, but much more intensively. The success of this new research added even more credibility to the work carried out before with Washoe. Washoe was not exceptionally gifted. What the gardeners had done with her, they could do again with others. This was especially the case with the 4 chimps because they were reared from birth in the human environment. When they arrived at Central Washington University, Dar, Moja, and Tatu also expressed themselves in sign language.
Drink.
Roger Fouts became the elder brother of a large family which centered itself around Washoe.
Drink.
The aim of the research carried out by Roger Fouts and his team was now to see how in this family sign language had become an integral part of their social exchanges, and to see whether they communicated in signs without any human beings being present. To do that, the family had to have its own territory that could not be invaded by humans. That's why, contrary to what happened at the gardener's place, Roger Fouts, despite his ties with Washoe, never entered the cages. To invade this territory might threaten the balance within Washoe's family by uncontrolled reactions on the part of the chimpanzees, who had become adult and were very much concerned about questions of territory. The chimpanzee's territory is made up of rooms, a games room, and a large outdoor area. These areas communicate with each other and allow the chimps to move with a certain amount of freedom within their territory. Washoe was the head of the family of 5 chimps, a sort of mother.
Today it's still manifest in that she's very much the mother of this group. And not too long ago, when we first moved into the building, there were some ROTC, their Army people, and it was a Memorial Day, and they were firing their guns, and Washoe had all 4 of the chimps, Loulis and Moja and Tatu and Dar, herded them into the cave in the outdoor area, and then she would go up and look over the wall to see what was going on and then come back. She's a very protective, very, very caring individual, very strong emotional ties, very much a mother in the sense of sort of looking out for it before it moves.
The harsh criticism directed against the gardeners consisted in saying that Washoe and the other chimps brought up by them had been trained, and that they did not really understand the signs they used. However, the gardeners perfected a double-blind test with Washoe that they later used to test Dar. Dar has not shown objects in themselves anymore, but pictures of objects that he has never seen before, showing that he names any dog, dog, any cat, cat, and so on. The test shows that he can name them without hints from humans because neither of the two observers can see the image that he sees, and they cannot communicate with each other. This is a picture of a shoe, and Dar does indeed say shoe. The same goes for a flower. And the two independent observers note that it is a flower. The gardeners continue to study the data gathered during 15 years of research. At Washington University, Roger Fouts and his colleagues are also trying to provide a response to the critics.
What I want to demonstrate is that the chimps will actually refrain from signing when the human's not looking. It makes no sense at all to sign to your back. What they will do is make some type of sound to initiate the interaction. In this case, the chimpanzee Tatu, you'll see, refrains from signing. And what she actually does is claps her hands. Each of the chimps have their own particular sound that they make, I've been finding. Tatu tends to clap her hands. Dar does a kiss type of sound. Moja does what we've called Bronx cheer or raspberry. And Washoe actually does sign. She signs the sign dirty, which when she makes it, her teeth clack together when makes it sound.
In the initial phase of this experiment, the chimp asks to be allowed to speak. Then in a second phase, he combines words to ask for something which these words represent for him. According to Fouts and his research team, it seems that they have a certain awareness of what talking is, since the chimp spontaneously and purposefully asks to be allowed to speak. The chimp is therefore aware that he is speaking. Eat. Where? Where? Eat. Where? Over there. Chase. What? Chase, ah. Chase who? Chase. Chase who? Ah. Chase. Where? Chase.